Sometimes grocery shopping can feel like a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. It's hard. You're lost in the grocery store, you blow most of your paycheck, you wind up with a fridge full of food that goes bad, and you don't feel like you're getting any closer to your diet, health, and wellness goals. Don't cancel your birthday just yet, because you're not a bad person and you're not alone. And in this episode of the It's Wellness Time podcast, Oscar Villa, grocery mogul and international man of produce, comes to give us some hot tips. Him and his family have been in the grocery business for 50 plus years. I met Oscar playing football at Adams State, so we do a little bit of shooting the breeze here, but we get into some super topics that can help you shop healthier and save some money. In this episode, we talk about using the advertisements so you can save a little bit of money and you can guide your meal plan. We talk about the importance of shopping on the outside edges of the grocery store, and he also gives you a few words of caution about don't succumb to merchandising and destination shopping where things are set up to get you to impulse buy. He also gives us some hot tips on how to buy in bulk and how to use frozen foods so that you can get groceries that'll help you with your health and wellness. I'm your host, AJ Webb, wellness coordinator and wellness enthusiast. Have a great listen. Thank you so very much for all of you that have listened to and shared this podcast. It really lays the foundation for more content like this. More and more folks are listening to these episodes every day. Again, please rate, please share, please listen. Thanks in advance. Let's do it, King Jaguar Paw. Welcome back to Alamosa. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you. We've talked about it a few different times because you, I would consider, are a subject matter expert in groceries, grocery store, produce, meats, and the things that I want to go and eat to be healthy. Can you start by telling me what it is you do now for a living and how long have you and your family done that?
Well, AJ, thanks for having me back. I'm happy to be back. We'll make sure to go visit weekend sometime this weekend, right? I work for my family business. We've been in business since 1968. Mm-hmm. That's when Grandpa...
50 plus years.
50 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Grandpa Maiduvia opened up his first grocery store in Nogales, Arizona. Mm-hmm. And now we have 2 grocery stores and a wholesale distribution center where we distribute to about 40 other little local mom and pop grocery stores.
So not only you have grocery stores, but you sell the groceries to the grocery stores that are going to sell them, right? So that's a wholesale component. You're selling bulk items, food, and stuff like that. Explain that a little more.
Yeah, anything from canned goods to a can of beans to a can of tomato sauce to a head of lettuce to, I don't know if you like menudo. Have you ever had menudo?
I've had menudo before.
So we have a meat processing plant where we'll dice up menudo and we'll sell it to the grocery stores and they just put it on the shelves and it's ready to go. We make it easy for them, cut down on their labor costs.
So 50 plus years, how many generations of folks? You got Grandpa Mario, you got Big Serge, you got your brother Sergio involved in it, you got yourself involved in it. When did you start actively participating in the grocery store business?
Well, we graduated here in 2009, AJ.
I want to hear before that. I want to hear like bagging potatoes and stuff like that.
Oh, man. Well, since I was born, I've been in the grocery store. But actually getting paid was after I graduated from college.
Okay.
But yeah, I was free labor, bagging groceries, stocking shelves, facing, pulling the cans up to the front. That's what we call facing groceries. Not much in the meat department. Didn't want to, cut any fingers off. My whole life I've been in the grocery store.
And not until you complete studying accounting, do a stint in professional football that you come home to Villa's Market and you join the family business, selling your community of Nogales, Arizona, food that they need to survive, eat, thrive, and do all those things. Where are the stores located in Arizona?
We're down on the border in Nogales, Arizona. And as a matter of fact, we have businesses on both sides of the border. We're international. I only help manage the businesses on the U.S. side, but my father also owns and runs a same operation, a wholesale and 2 grocery stores in Mexico, which my uncle operates over there. He oversees that. So I oversee the U.S. operation.
So we've referenced our history coming back to Alamosa. You and I come to Adams State. We come to Alamosa in 2005 to play football for the mighty Grizzlies. And there'll be a kind of a theme that I want to unpack in regards to like customer service. But you and I have gotten along real well kind of from the jump. I always recognize you as like a super hospitable kind of guy, taking care of me. Your family's taking care of me when I had the scarlet fever and stuff like that. And you and I have had a focus on nutrition, right? So 2005, we're broke college kids hanging out in the dorms, but we're trying to get ourselves some extra protein beyond what's going on in the cafeteria. And we're cooking on hot plates illegally in the Coronado dorms, because that's a no-no. You shouldn't cook on hot plates if you're a college student in the Coronado dorms.
Or hint, if you want to cook something for yourself, buy a hot plate in your dorm room.
Yeah, well, if you're trying to get jacked and tan, you're gonna need to get a hot plate, but not cook with it.
Make sure the window's open, because then the steam and the smell seeps out into the hallway, and the RA has to come knocking on your door.
And you're gonna want to clean that foreman up, otherwise that's gonna create a funky odor, and you don't want to put too much potpourri in the air, because that's gonna be a tip off too. They're like, "You guys smoking drugs in here?" No, we're smoking jerky and we're making chicken.
Making chicken and rice in a bag in the microwave,
and vegetables.
And vegetables.
So so prior to that, I had taken an interest in nutrition for my own health and performance sake because of sport, because of playing football. So I was a stinky kid, not only in my college dorm room, but I was a stinky kid in high school because I was eating cans of tuna fish. I was, buying fish sticks and stuff like that, stuff that had protein in it. And that was a part of, I think, me going from a twerp into a larger twerp relative to other defensive linemen. But what was your relationship? I mean, you had the family business at a grocery store, but when did you start trying to eat healthy for yourself?
It probably started in high school. My brother was big into bodybuilding.
Right.
Yeah. So I remember he was pretty jacked and tan himself.
He was my son Michael would call him. He was a bad mofo.
Oh man. So he was a big dude, and I kind of used to model what he had, and it was always protein centered on his plate, protein to build muscle. So I watched him growing up, and that's what kind of made me realize like, maybe if I want to be a better football player, I need more muscle. I need to start eating better. But that's kind of where it started. My big brother would always read muscle magazines and stuff like that. And when we got here to Adams State, we wanted to start. We wanted to
play.
We wanted to play. We wanted to contribute.
Place at the table, baby.
So me and you decided to go and start eating clean in the dorm rooms, which is a really hard task.
Right. I mean, because the dorm rooms, there's not cooking facilities available. We are basically limited to the cafeteria and what you could eat out. I recall having a good attitude about breakfast, go and get your eggs and your grains and your oatmeal and stuff like that. We would go and smash big old salads during lunchtime. But dinner, we decided to avoid the mystery meatloaf and go for those chickens.
Just a lot of gravies, a lot of
sauces and magical potions and stuff like that.
Just pizza. Our best friend was definitely the omelet station in the morning.
Oh yeah. I remember the controversy around asking for like 5 eggs and having that scrambled into the omelet versus getting the mystery goo, poured in there with the bell peppers.
But we had that lady on our side.
She was awesome, right? So bless you, ma'am.
Bless you. Thank you. Yeah.
So we have this value, we have this priority because we were actually doing it. Like other people, they talk about wanting to eat healthy, but we were actually spending more money. We had already bought that cafeteria plan, but we said, hey, we're going to spend some more money, the little extra money that we had. We're going to go eat healthier. We had friends that looked at us like we had a bicycle growing out the side of our head, right? Because, what are you guys doing? How can you do that? You guys must be rich. You guys must
have all kinds of extra money and stuff like that, because eating healthy is so expensive, right? So I remember hearing that feedback. Do you remember this too?
Tons of it.
Right?
They say McDonald's is cheaper, but I don't think that's not necessarily true if you do it the right way.
Right. And McDonald's, maybe it's cheaper, and I'm sure we had our fair share of fast food delicacies out there, but our activity supported it because we were burning a lot of calories, lifting a lot of weights. But at the same time, we put a lot of effort and made it a priority to eat healthy.
I'm sure we did burn off all those cheeseburgers we had,
Right.
but it definitely didn't feel good.
No, exactly.
Burning them off.
No, definitely. I mean, just feeling that change in performance, right? Because I remember, at kind of the peak of that freshman year, being really, really lean, really fast, really strong, and that was something that felt good. That definitely aided in performance, aided in classroom, performance as well. Just using food as a tool and having a different attitude, and really just having a priority, making it a priority. Right now, let's talk. We'll start talking about some of the things that we had to do to make that happen and afford it as college kids, because I think there's themes that carry on into adulthood, but there's also information that you have as this subject matter expert regarding what can people do that want to start shopping healthy so that they can be best prepared, go into a grocery store, get some of the best deals, avoid some pitfalls, and start to support their health via their grocery shopping experience, right? Because we could have, hypothetically speaking, I don't even know if they had these services, like these meal kits and stuff like that they have available, where they box up all the chicken breast and brown rice and stuff for you, but I don't think we would have been able to afford that, right? I mean, that was an alternative, but it's probably not an alternative for us.
Well, we should have thought of the idea
when
we were struggling in the dorm rooms.
Right? We should have been saying, hey, why don't you give us your grocery money and we'll make you, meals or whatever, and then
we'll meal prep
we'll eat for free. Yeah.
Dang it. Yeah, we were pioneer. We should have pioneered that.
Pace setters. Super pace setters. So we complete college. We have an attitude. We make it a priority for our sport so that we can eat healthy. We grow up. I go into healthcare. You go play some pro football. You get back into Via's market, right? And what's been your experience as far as thinking about that person that wants to come in and start eating healthy? What are some of the hot tips that you would have for them? Some pieces of advice to navigate? Where should they start?
Well, first off, grocery shopping can be expensive if you don't have a plan.
Right.
And I think your plan should start with your ad.
Okay.
If I want to eat something and I'm craving something and it's out of season and I go to the grocery store, I'm going to pay a hefty price for that item because it's, supply and demand. If the supply is not there, there's low quantities, it's going to be very expensive to cook that meal. So you got to kind of think backwards. You know what I mean? Not think what I'm craving.
Right.
And kind of start with the ad.
Instead of that, because I've done that. My wife's done that, right? Where we get, oh man, I kind of want some salmon and asparagus. We see this awesome looking recipe. We hear someone talking about it. We see it on television. And then I'm going, ooh, that's healthy. That looks delicious. I'm going to go buy it. And an asparagus is $5 a pound. Salmon is $12 a pound instead of $8. And I'm going, whoa. Maybe everyone is right? Maybe all those people that told me this is too expensive. But you're telling me start with the advertisements, right? So these are weekly that they come out. I think around here, City Market and Safeway will both put out ads on Wednesdays. Does that sound about right? Is that a typical practice?
Typical, everyone runs their ads from Wednesday to Tuesday.
Okay.
So new ads break on Wednesdays. And typically they all have, an assortment of what's in the grocery store. They'll all have a protein. They usually all have at least like one chicken, one beef, one fish. So it's not too limited on what's on ad. But there'll be proteins, there'll be vegetables, there'll be fruits, and that's what you gotta kind of base your meal around.
Right. Especially if that's your goal is to eat healthy, right? We talk about perimeter shopping, right? In your store, where do you keep the Whole Foods, Oscar?
Everything's on the perimeter.
Everything's on the perimeter, right? So we're talking vegetables, we're talking fruits, we're talking all the different meats, most of the stuff. I mean, you can make the L walk, come on back, and then selectively pick up your olive oil, maybe some bag rice or something like that, and do pretty good for yourself just by that perimeter roll, huh?
So it's they call it like destinations inside the grocery store. So you have different destination points that you want your customer to get to. So
Okay.
yeah, we keep your Whole Foods around the perimeter. We'll keep our meat on one side, our produce on the other side, our milk in the back. So, as a consumer, those are all items that you need. So we want you to walk the perimeter of the store, just to get you in the store and get you to buy something else. You know what I mean? That's our plan.
Yeah.
That's why it's laid out that
Fair
way.
play. Tough but fair, right? Because you're a business, you're working to keep the lights on, but you're also working to satisfy customers. And I'd call myself a good customer. I am taking advantage of ads, but at the same time, I'm buying high quality stuff, and I'm doing it every single week, and so that justifies my. So no ill will to the perimeter and getting people to destination shop, but that's where the stuff's at, right? So your ad comes out on Wednesday. It's got a variety of different, you got proteins, you got fruits, you got your, different selections. So my move, right? You can tell me if you agree with this strategy or not. My move is I see chicken, right? I see really any protein that's kind of sub $3 a pound, and I'm going, that's going to be a pretty good deal for me, whether it's pork, whether it's beef, anything around that area, and I'm going, I'm buying 3 of that. I'm going to see if they got a big package of that. When I say 3, I mean enough for 3 meals, which for me is like 6 because I eat the leftovers the next day. So enough for a big quantity of meals for me and my family, because that's when I'm going to be able to get that best price. So I'm buying in bulk. How do you like that strategy, Oscar?
So you're planning.
Yes.
You're planning your week out. So no, it takes a little bit of work as opposed to getting off of work and you're like, oh, what are we going to eat today?
Right.
You got your ad.
And you're like, I'm feeling really impulsive. Let's make this decision right now.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Look, there's chicken breast on ad, and there's, cross rib roast on ad. So we're going to use this roast for 3 days a week, and we're going to use this chicken breast for the other 3 days, and make your 6 meals. And so it starts with the planning. So you go in with the grocery store with the plan, with the list, with your ad, and that's how you save money. But there's also other tricks that, not tricks, but, around the ad items, we do what's called merchandising.
Right.
So we'll have your chicken breast, that's on special. But next to it, we'll have stir-fry strips, made of chicken breast stir-fry strips, diced chicken breast, marinated chicken breast, and those are all marked up. And we try to get you to use your impulse buy again. You know what? This one looks a little bit better. It's already seasoned for me. I'll take home and it'll be easier. But, it's going against your plan if you're really trying to shop on a budget.
Do it as cheap as possible. Now, I'd also look at that and say, you also did me a solid. So maybe I'm not getting the best deal on that chicken, right? I'd get, a lower price per pound if I bought the bigger carton with the chicken that hasn't been, broken down for me and seasoned for me. But I'm a busy dude, Sometimes I work 70 hours a week, right? And there's a lot of people, especially in healthcare, that have these big, long work weeks. I think it's for each in their own. To do it the cheapest, you're definitely going for that bulk item. But at the same time, paying that butcher to do a little bit of work for you so you don't got to get the chicken slime and stuff like that all over you. You get seasoned. That can be a nice thing, too. So I see what you're saying around the merchandising, working to, I'd say it is giving people a variety of value, and they can pick based off of what their budgetary constraints are.
So it all depends on what you're after.
Okay.
Just like you say, if you're after value, there's a value item. It's usually at cost. It's a bargain deal. But like you said, we work a lot. We're busy. We got kids. I want to get the diced seasoned meat, throw it on the pan, and be done with it.
Right.
I don't want to go home, have to dice it, season it, marinate it. It takes time. So yeah, it has its purpose.
So we start with that ad. We understand we're going to go in. We're going to shop around the perimeter of the store. Now, you used a word earlier, seasons, right? Seasonality, okay? So when I was that individual looking at that Pinterest recipe going, asparagus, salmon, this is what I got to do. I was focused, I think, in the wrong starting spot, right? I didn't start with the ad. So I was at the mercy of supply and demand. I was at the mercy of the seasons because each produce has a season, right? It's got certain times where it is readily available, and it has certain times where it's a little bit more scarce. And when it's a little more scarce, you're going to pay a premium for it.
Yeah, and usually when it's more scarce, it's being shipped from somewhere farther away where it is in season.
Right.
So even when it's not in season, it's not the freshest product anyways. You know, what's in season is usually what's in ad, and it's usually what's the freshest product, and it's what's best for us. Brand new, probably being grown in the backyard of where we live.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of what you want to go after. So
Definitely.
if you see strawberries at 97 cents a pound, like you want to take those strawberries. You know, when they're $4 a pound, you know, the quality is going to be low on them. You know, you don't want to, you know, like you said, shop for a recipe.
It's definitely not a great value, right? You're getting an overall worse product or piece of produce, and you're paying more for it, right? So we can tune into these things. It's going to be a different seasonal pattern, I'd assume, down in southern Arizona versus Colorado. I'm sure it's different for things like, you know, potatoes and these types of things. But I think this is just something that we can think about as consumers, and consumers with intent to eat healthy and save a little bit money is, when are those seasons, right? Because I remember in Arizona, the wintertime, that's when citrus, right? So we had orange trees in the backyard. That was an awesome time. I had an orange, you know, to go with me, and, you know, high five wintertime. The summertime, you get that weird yellow mutant orange that's got those funky textures and stuff like that, and it's got seeds the size of hand grenades inside of it, right? And it's just not the same experience. So if I can tailor my palate a little bit and my expectations around the seasonality of those fruits, I'll save a little bit of money. I'll get a better piece of fruit. I'll get a better product, huh?
Exactly. And I mean, on another point, don't be afraid to use coupons.
Yeah.
Those are usually manufactured. You know, it's usually more on canned goods and stuff like that. You know, the manufactured coupons. But don't be afraid to use those. There's always a lot of good deals, and you'll be you know, blown away on how much money you can save by looking for coupons.
So putting in a little bit of that extra work up front, right? And that's what a lot of this comes down to, is making these food decisions when you are in the proper state of mind to make them regarding what you're trying to do with your health, being intentional, right? Because I am a bad decision maker in regards to food when I'm hungry, when it's late, when I'm stressed, when it's tired, you know, when I'm tired. And I can't avoid those things all the time. But for me, Saturdays has been a good time for me to go shop, because I can go get some yard work done, get a workout in, have a nice lunch with my family, and then say, where are the mads at? And let's take a look at that. Start building my meal plan from there, and building my shopping list. Another thing I try and do is I look at what I have, because that's another gripe I hear about healthy eating is, oh man, I just soon would buy this, and this, because grains have a different shelf life than produce, because I'm always wasting the kale. I'm always wasting the turnips or something like that. And that's been something for me to say, hey, like I even grew a whole big garden, and unfortunately now it's cold. Like a lot of it died because I didn't have that plan ready for beets and beet greens and all these different things, so that I wasn't rolling the dice at night. Like, maybe I'll cook those beets, right?
Yeah, and like you said, starting off with that plan, not only does it save you money, but, you know, when we meal planned, you know, we would cook it all on Saturday.
Right.
I mean, so, you know, you already know what you're going to eat all week. So, you know, you don't get off work and you're tired. You know what? Let's stop and, you know, buy a burrito.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to do that.
Right.
You have your food at home.
I got
it's ready.
I got the thing that I want for me. It's going to be at home. It's there.
Yeah. You're not going to be too tired to go to the grocery store, make another run to the grocery store. You know what I mean? You're not going to do that impulse buy of a burrito, and it's going to help your overall health.
Absolutely. So we talked about ads. We talked about sales bulk. We talked about the perimeter, seasonality, and it's not that bad of a thing to let the meat cutter do a little bit of that work for you, so you can come home, heat that olive oil up in the pan, throw that chicken in there, and have yourself a nice, delicious fajita bowl. Okay? A lot of stuff going on with this. I think that anyone that is trying to grapple with that entire thing, there's just a lot going on, and I think that having, you know, I look at it just as that system. What is it that I'm going to do? I have, you know, you develop the criteria of the foods that I break my food down into proteins, carbs, and then it's either fat, or if I'm trying to restrict something, I call that F category. I call that the fun category, right?
Yeah, you got to have a little fun with it, right?
Right. So I got my chicken, I got my maybe, you know, I got some pork, I got some beef. That's my protein. Those are what I'm going to go buy from the store. I got my carbs. If I can keep those mainly vegetables and fruits, I'm good there. I guess if I was training for something, I'd throw in the rice into there. But anything else that is outside of that perimeter shopping, I'm throwing in that fun category.
Can you fill us in what that would look like?
No.
Just a little bit? Just a couple items.
Just a few items, right? So if I'm in that fun category and I'm trying to avoid those grains, that's where those get moved. That's when the Eggo waffles get thrown into that fun category.
Okay.
Right? That's when maybe brown rice, even though brown rice is...
Oh, that's so fun, Webb.
It's
so fun.
It's so fun. But you know what? Don't eat it for 3 weeks and then get yourself a bowl of brown rice in the rice cooker. You're going to have a great time. Right?
Great time.
You're having a great time.
I thought you were going to go Coors Light or...
No. Coors Yellow Belly. That is in the fun category.
Oh, okay.
Oscar, do you have any other hot tips about how an individual should approach shopping? Is there anything that you would consider doing? Let's imagine you're out of the grocery game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Via's Wholesale has gone public, and you're a super fat cat, and you now do not have to be around the grocery store. What is it? How would you approach your shopping and things that you would always think about?
Well, it's things we've done from the beginning. You know what I mean? We bought, what did we buy when we were cooking in the dorm rooms? We buy a 10-pound bag of frozen chicken breast. Mm-hmm. Usually frozen means it's a discounted price.
Okay.
We would buy the big bag of frozen. Right. We would cook it for all week.
Right.
We'd have chicken sandwiches. We'd have chicken salad.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have chicken with salsa. We'd have lemon pepper chicken.
Right.
But we went after that big frozen. Mm-hmm. It was probably like $1 a pound.
Yeah.
And I mean, is that not affordable?
No. I mean, when you're looking at all your protein sources, we can peek into those frozen food sections and we can really get an opportunity to get some value, right? Especially around, some of the vegetables. I mean, because those things are, flash freeze right there. I don't know the science of exactly how it works, but those are good alternatives for people, right? Mm-hmm. That if you are worried about wasting stuff as you're getting this thing going, look at the frozen parts, right? You are going to have to think about thawing those things out, but Plenty of Fish has instructions on how to cook it from frozen, if I'm not mistaken, where it gives you, hey, thawed out, cook it for X amount of minutes in the oven. If it's frozen, cook it for, 8 minutes longer. Don't quote me on that, but...
I mean, at our grocery store, we do a lot of bulk buying. We see a lot of people coming in partners. My family and your family, there's a 10-pound bag of chicken breast. Mm-hmm. They'll thaw it out, and then they'll cook it.
Divvy it up.
Yeah, they'll divvy it up. And and sharing, that's one way. If you think it's too much, you gotta find some support or a partner that wants to be on the same plan as you. Mm-hmm. But I see it all the time.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think the last thing is I want to acknowledge your observation about that fun category. Also in my fun category, I got almonds and I got these little chocolate bars, right? Because I've gone straight prohibition, rolled into my house, right? And so I think this is something people should think about too. You and I have started to eat this way decades ago. It's a hard thing to roll into a household, kick open the door, poof, listen up everybody, we're not eating grains around here anymore, and pour that milk out because it's almond milk only. Other people may not be as vested and bought into this. They might give you a pushback. And I think that if you're able to do one little swap out of that fun category into that fun category every week, that is a good way for someone who's trying to get this thing started to build,
it's a great
build
start.
Some momentum.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I've also gone too hard in the paint on this and burned myself out. You ever burn yourself out before?
Very quickly. You know what I mean? You have to have that cheat day. You have to have that fun category, or else you get burned out real quick, and then you just go away from it completely.
Right.
So might as well bend a little bit, but don't break, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. You don't need to be the super tyrant over yourself. And I think it's important to remember that you're working to fuel yourself for like a healthier person in the future.
Not training for football camp, you know what I mean? You're just trying to be healthy.
Exactly.
We're not trying to go out there, and break someone in half and, be the strongest guy out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's perfect to bend. It's perfect to have that fun category because you will burn yourself out because you got to think of the long game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're not just trying to eat healthy for, 2-3 months. You want to eat healthy for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Oscar Villa, the super subject matter expert, the king of the groceries, the grocery mogul, King Jaguar Paw. Thank you for sharing your information.
Thanks for having me, Rambo.
That's it for this episode of the It's Wellness Time podcast. Thank you for listening along. Please take a second to review, give it a 5-star rating, share it with your friends, do all these things via the social medias. That will help me show that folks are out there listening. I look forward to bringing you more information, more inspiration to help you with your wellness. Have a super day.